around, don't disregard it. Sweep you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started, it's the hardest. Talk around, don't disregard it. Sweep you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. Yeah,
get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, betcha this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling, welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, and this art he is king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, none contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping this track. Have you paying more attention, no listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back.
Ooh, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle Bird. And I'm a survivor. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how to start shows, so I just sing Destiny's Child. Is that Destiny's Child song? Well, let me check my asshole here. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So I'm right. Here we go. Glad we got that out of the way. Survivor Series 1995 WWF. Got some World Wrestling Federation for you guys today. Now I've covered a lot of WWF in 1995. In fact, I've covered every pay-per-view. Which, by the way, check that out in the archives if you're interested. I've covered every WWF show from WrestleMania 10 to now chronologically. So go check that out. You can find that at apronbump.com if you go to the episodes tab and you select WWF New Generation. But what was I even talking about? Oh, yes. 1995. Really wrestling in general in 1995. WCW, ECW, which I also cover. Not a lot of bright spots. Not a lot of gems in this year of the 90s. But Survivor Series 1995, when we talk about this in the podcast, was pretty good. Not a bad show. I mean, you would even look at the card and you're like, wow, that seems like a fat clown's asshole. But it's not. It's someone else's asshole that's a little bit more delicious. Because, I mean, you got lots of 8-man tags, of course, your traditional Survivor Series elimination matches. You got a few of those, but even those are all pretty decent in their own ways. You even got a women's match on the show. They found 8 women in wrestling in 1995 to put them on the card, which is amazing in its own right. But in addition to those traditional Survivor Series style matches, you got Goldust here kicking Bam Bam Bigelow out the door of the WWF. You got Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's here, because he was a thing, right? What else? What else is there? Aja Kong. You got Sonny. You got Todd Pettengill. You got Barry Horowitz. Like, what else do you really need from a wrestling show, to be honest? And of course, this show capped off, and this is probably what people associate this show with, is the main event, the WWF Championship on the line. You got the champion Diesel defending against the Hitman, Bret Hart. Maybe the best Kevin Nash match that has ever occurred in the history of history. I'll let you be the judge of that, but really great stuff. You got Bret in the main event, which is great. And that's kind of a running theme throughout the show that we'll talk about. It's almost like WWF is done fucking around. You know what I mean? Like, when I say that, I don't mean, oh, well, they're done fucking around. Now it's done. No, I mean, like, they've been just doing bullshit for the past 2 years at least. Undertaker, Bret Hart, they've been just pulling each other's puds in the corner in the dark while you have stupid ass Mabel in the main event. You got, King Kong Bundy and a high profile match. Like, stupid, really stupid stuff. But now it seems like tides are turning. And we even saw that with the ECW show that I recently covered, November to Remember 1995. which was a great show in ECW's history. And it's like they're kind of turning a new leaf, and now you have WWF. It seems like you got they're dipping their toes in the Attitude Era kind of tropes, which we'll talk about. WCW, they're still figuring things out. They're still throwing people off of roofs and hitting each other with monster trucks, and they're about to have a 3-ring battle royal. So they're WCW, okay, you go play over there. But ECW, WWF are showing that wrestling can be good again. So good stuff there. But I'm rambling. Let's get to the show. But first, got to give a shout out to my guest, Brent, from the A Work in Progress Wrestling Podcast. You can find this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, on YouTube as well, on Twitch. They do some live streams over there as well, I believe. Really great podcast. Really do fun watch-alongs and other discussion type stuff. A lot of old school wrestling over there as well. So if you like what I talk about, you'll probably enjoy what the boys at the A Work in Progress podcast do over there. Like I said, wherever you listen to podcasts, and I'll put all of their social medias in the description below. Great follow on social media as well. Do that. Give the boys a kiss, and give me a kiss. Why don't you? But yeah, apronbump.com for all my full episodes as well. Apron Bump on Twitter, Apron Bump on TikTok. Been especially active on TikTok recently. I'm having actually a good deal of fun doing that. So go check that out and some of the stuff I've been putting out there. I've also done a few tier lists. I think I've been forgetting to mention this, but check out the YouTube as well. Subscribe to that. First of all, do video versions of these podcasts. So if you don't know about that, or if you don't watch them, why don't you just head over there, give the video a like, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, leave a thumb up my ass. Do all that. Also do some YouTube exclusive stuff over there, like tier lists. I've ranked giants in wrestling. I've ranked championship belts, and I plan to do a lot more in the future, little stuff like that. So go check that out. YouTube.com/apron bump. Of course, in the description below as well. Let's get to it. I'm ready to talk about Bertha Faye and Bill Clinton and Gold Dust licking Bam Bam Bigelow's nipples. So let's get to it. WWF Survivor Series 1995 with myself and Brent from the A Work in Progress podcast. We did a little thing. I saw a video recently of what was it? WAP. Fuck. Yeah, it was WAP. It was like there was like a sign language interpreter at a concert, and they were like, oh, and then all that
what
stuff.
Exactly is WAP?
Are you not familiar with WAP?
I'm not. That must be too old.
Do you actually not know what WAP is?
No, I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Wow. Well, let me hold on one second. Really, before we dive into Hakushi here, let me pull this joker.
I've been
up.
waiting to dive into Hakushi all day, pal.
Hot coochie, as some may say. WAP. Let's see here. It's probably the first thing
We call it the Chattahoochee in Nebraska.
Of course you do. All right, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen here, because this is the first time I've ever used this function, and it's very appropriate. All right, let's see here. Boom. Make sure all my porn tabs are closed. Well, all right.
If the reason to do it is WAP, then why would there be another reason? Unfortunately, I do know what this is.
Well,
I just didn't realize it was called WAP.
Oh, is this a censored version? What the shit is this? All right. Well, next time we'll do a podcast over that in the background.
I mean, goddamn, pal. I don't know if it can get any better than that.
All right. Well, now I think we got all our kinks loosened. Might as well start with a old fuck, kill, marry. Let's see. Hold on, let me find this list. Aja Kong, Bertha Faye, Tomoko Watanabe.
Okay, I'm smashing Tomoko Kamanawe.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm gonna marry Aja Kong, and I'm killing Bertha Faye.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good. Isn't Bertha Faye already dead anyways? So
I believe so.
Yeah,
I think Aja Kong is still wrestling.
Yeah, she was in AEW. Like it was like in the beginning, but not doing like
no shit.
An active monster. She wrestled at like All In or something, at least something stupid like that. Like her and
shows how much I pay attention.
Awesome Kong just bumbling around on their old knees, but
He's like 50.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Survivor Series 1995. Did you get a chance to check out the show?
Oh, yep. I watched the main event of it just this morning, which the main event's really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. What'd you think of the show in general, overall?
Overall, I thought it was a pretty damn good. I mean, not pretty damn good, but it was a pretty good show for 1995. I don't have to tell you because you review all this stuff, but 1995 was an absolutely dreadful year for all of wrestling. WCW, WWF, it was all bad.
ECW was pretty bad too.
I remember you made me watch one of those shows and it wasn't good.
But yeah, word for word, I had this pretty much the same thought. For 1995, this was a very good show, I thought. And I was pretty surprised because looking at the card, I mean, it's Survivor Series, so you got all the 4-on-4, 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches. So it's kind of a weird show to begin with, but the main event was great. And I thought the tag matches were really solid too. So
yeah, I can't disagree. There's nothing that I watched that made me like roll my eyes too much. Like even the first match, you look at that on paper and it just looks like a bunch of fucking, jobbers. But it was actually pretty damn good for the people that they had in the ring.
I agree. Well, the only thing that made me roll my eyes on this show was the third mic on commentary, Mr. Perfect. So that's how the show opens up. It opens up to the shot of the crowd. Then they announce, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Perfect." And then old Kurt comes out. He is joining Jim Ross and Vinnie Mac on commentary. What'd you think of Mr. Perfect's commentary throughout the show?
So he did commentary in the earlier 90s in like 92, 93 that I thought was really good. But then maybe his heart wasn't in it when he came back in 90, 96, 95. But yeah, I didn't think he was very good either. The things that he said didn't make any sense. And he would, like, I remember during one of the matches, he was like, oh, it was the Royals match. And he said that Dr. Isaac Yankem DDS wasn't just big. He's also big and strong. And that was it. That was all he listed.
I caught that too. He was like, "Yeah, he's not just a big monster. He's big and he's strong." Because he ran out of adjectives.
Yeah, like he just didn't know where to go after that. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you're spot on. I think his heart wasn't in it. I think he really wanted to be in the ring, especially like when looking at the main event, Bret and Diesel. I think he even said something along the lines of, "Man, it's hard to watch this. I want to be in there," or something along those lines. So yeah, that is probably the issue there. But before we get into the actual show, there was a dark match on this show that I thought was pretty interesting. It was for the tag team titles, we have the champions, the Smoking Guns, versus the Public Enemy, Johnny Grunge and Rocco Rock. Holy shit. I did not know that they did a little stint here in WWF this early. Did you?
No, the only time I ever thought Public Enemy was in WWF is when they got the shit kicked out of them by the Acolytes because they said they weren't going to go through a table. Yeah. I believe last time I was on the show, we talked about the Public Enemy. A couple of white rappers, very, very urban for Nebraska, if you ask me.
Is that where they're from? Oh no, you're from Nebraska.
No, I'm from Nebraska, so
it makes you uncomfortable when you see urban people, right? I get it.
Not anymore, but in the 90s, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, well, they're scary. They are big and scary. Are the Public Enemy, are they from, because we're in DC this show, I assume they're probably like from DC, or are they from Philly?
I would have thought they were from Philly, right? Or maybe they're probably from fucking Detroit.
Well, Philly's pretty close to DC, I think. It's only a few hours, so I guess they're relatively local. So I guess that would explain why they're in this little shindig. But I know they would be in WCW eventually, and then like you said, they would try WWF later in the 90s. Do you think Public Enemy would have been better suited for this era rather than 98 or 99 or whenever they were there?
Probably. I think it probably would have worked out better in this era. I mean, they were fine in WCW. I know a lot of people probably didn't like them, but you weren't supposed to like them. Yeah, I think they would have worked out. I mean, they had those guys with what were those guys' names that were with the Nation of Domination? PG-13.
Yes.
And that was kind of like a junior version of Public Enemy. So I think it would have worked out in 95, 96. Absolutely.
Couldn't have been any worse, I guess. But
yeah, run down the tag team division of WWF in 1995 and see how great that was.
Well, we got a few of them here in this opening match here. At least like some halves of teams. So we got Survivor Series 8-man tag team elimination match to open the show. It's a 4-on-4 match. First of all, I miss when teams had names. So, like Survivor Series teams had names. So we had the Body Donnas versus the Underdogs. The Body Donnas is comprised of Skip, Radford, the 1-2-3 Kid, and Tom Pritchard. Versus the Underdogs, the team of Barry Horowitz, Bob Sparkplug Thurman Plug Holly, Hakushi, and Marty Jannetty. What a cast of characters. A lot of colors just bouncing around in there. One thing that strikes out to me is Hakushi. I hate that Hakushi is like an underdog guy. I feel like he had so much more potential.
I mean, I thought when he was in the match, I thought he was like the star of the match. I mean, it started out dull, and then they tagged him in, and that's when it started to get real good. So I always like Takushi. I think he had like his grocery store list written on his chest, right, in his back, so he'd know what to get when he went to the store.
Is that what that was? I don't read Mandarin, or Japanese or whatever it is. But
yeah, it says like green beans, corn, box of stuffing. Yeah,
it might. For all we know, it might, and we just don't know it. But I think Hakushi definitely stood out in this match from a physical standpoint. But 1-2-3 Kid is probably the star of this match because he recently just turned heel, turning on Razor Ramon. They did a little recap package here where Kid was a special guest referee on Raw when Razor Ramon was facing Sid, and Kid basically helped Sid get the win, did a fast count deal, and now I guess he's a member of the $1 million corporation because Kid comes out with Ted DiBiase and the music and all that get up. And whenever Kid would get tagged into the match, he had huge heat, like way more than anybody else in this match. So at the surface, I was like, man, 1-2-3 Kid, I feel like he's like the ultimate underdog. I don't know how a heel run would suit him, but I feel like it is off to at least a good start here. Do you think it was a good move turning him heel?
At that point, probably, because he'd gotten pretty stale. I don't know. So like when you told me we were going to watch these, I went back and watched like the 4 episodes of Raw before this because that's just the kind of person I am. I have to know exactly what was happening. So it kind of always felt like for a while that they were going to turn him heel, and it seemed like the right thing to do because he was getting a little bit stale. There's only so much you can do with that underneath babyface gimmick. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, especially when you have a whole team of them. I mean, you can create a whole 4-person team of those underneath underdogs. So might as well make you stand out a little bit more. But yeah, the match is fine. You got Tom Pritchard out there. He goes for a moonsault but misses. Bob Holly eliminates him with a cross body, but then Skip gets right in there and rolls up Holly right away for the elimination. Then Radford and Hakushi go at it. These all sound like fake names. I guess they are.
Radford is the worst wrestling name in the history of wrestling. Radford. Come on,
man. How long do you think it took for them to come up with that?
Look at him. He's got nice hair. He's rad. What rhymes with rad? Radford. Great. Get out there, pal.
Goddamn, pal. Here's a skirt. Go out there and wrestle.
Louis Piccoli just looked like a chubby baby. Like they should have just shaved him bald and just sent him out there as a baby.
He's like a baby dressed up as an adult. Yeah, I can see it.
There we go.
Yeah. But yeah, Radford's out there. He's rad. He's Radford, and him and Hakushi go at it. But 1-2-3 Kid gets in there illegally with a spinning back kick to the back of Hakushi's head, and Radford's able to pin him for the elimination. Then we got Radford, who I think Skip described him as a body Donna in training. If I have that right.
That was the most ridiculous thing said on this entire podcast, is that Radford was going to be a body Donna. Not on this podcast,
in training,
on this pay-per-view.
He's working on it. He's not there yet.
He is, after all, a work in progress.
Wow.
Spun that around.
Wow. Might as well just end the podcast right there. But Rad, he's in progress, right? So he's doing push-ups in the ring. Skip's counting along, but then Barry Horowitz comes in from behind and rolls him up and pins Radford. So no more Radford here. So now it's 2v2. We got 123 Kid and Skip versus Barry Horowitz and Marty Jannetty. Just saying these names makes me laugh. What a fucking undercard here. 123 Kid then eliminates Barry Horowitz with a shitty little kick to the back and then a stupid leg drop. Marty Jannetty in there, murdering somebody again, I guess. He hits Skip with a rocker dropper and then a crazy power bomb from the top rope, which is what Chris Candido Skip would be known for in ECW, I feel like, right?
Yeah, I mean I remember Dr. Tom Pritchard telling a story about how he wrestled Chris in ECW and like, oh, I got to put you over. What's your finish? And he's like, top rope powerbomb, and Dr. Tom being like, motherfucker.
It's terrifying.
You kidding me?
A full on, they're both standing on the top rope, and it's a full on power bomb. Just looks absolutely horrific. But I mean, it looked good, but it's just scary to take, I'm sure.
Ahead of its time. That's something you would see on TV nowadays.
Yeah. So now that eliminates Skip. So now it's 1-on-1. We got Marty Jannetty versus 123 Kid, who I think were former tag team champions, if I remember correctly.
For a short period of time, they beat the Quebecers.
Oh man, what a tag division.
Why do I know that? Why,
you knew
I
that
know
so
nothing
quick.
else from life, but I know that.
It's like you were waiting for me to bring up the tag division in '94 or whatever it was. So Sid comes out, also a member of the $1 Million Corporation. He comes out with Ted DiBiase because Ted left, I guess. So Sid comes out, hangs up Marty on the top rope, and that's it. And then 123 Kid spins him. Fuck you, Marty Jannetty, and he gets the win for the Body Donnas. Sid and Kid hug, and yeah, a weird undercard, but it was a pretty entertaining match for what it was, I thought.
I agree with you. I thought it was a really good, entertaining first match. I mean, you had a lot of strange guys in there. Like, who would have thought? Like, I watched WWF Superstars from 1992 for our show, and I see Barry Horowitz on that all the time, and I never would have thought that Barry Horowitz would be on a Survivor Series team in 1995. Yeah. If you would have told me that, I would have been shocked. So, yeah, no, a good opening match. I was a little upset that fucking Radford, who did some of I know you work out a lot. Those were some of the worst push-ups I have ever seen. I've seen third graders do better push-ups than those.
They were something. They were it was more he got the canvas pregnant, I think, with those push-ups, but it is what it is. That Louis Spicoli.
That damn Louis Spicoli.
Can't stop
Baby
him.
Spicoli. That's what I want to call him. Baby Spicoli.
There we go. That's gonna catch on. So but then after the match, it shows Razor Ramon, who is watching the match on his monitor, who I think I forgot to mention before the match. Razor came out. He was trying to get the Kid, but the security was keeping him back. So Razor's backstage watching it on the monitor, and he sees Kid get the win. He saw Razor throwing TVs everywhere. He's flipping tables. He's finger fucking whoever else is back there. I can't think of another jobber.
Savia
Quang. Yeah, he said Savia Vega. I said Quang.
Basically said
Perfect.
the same. Wow.
So Razor's losing it. Then it cuts to Razor's teammates later in the night. So we got Dean Douglas, Yokozuna, Owen Hart, and Jim Cornette.
Motherfucker.
God damn, pal, extra cheese.
There we go.
So they're all teaming with Razor later in the show, and you might be saying to yourself, well, by golly, that's a weird combination. Faces and heels. Well, that's the whole deal, pal. It's a wild card. And the wild card Survivor Series match later. So it's a bunch of like rivals teaming with each other and stuff like that. So these guys are basically telling Razor to get his shit together. And the wild card concept. That's a little later in the show. What'd you think of it conceptually?
I didn't know why it wasn't two heels and two heels versus two baby faces and two heels. You know what I mean? Like the 3 and a 1 and then the 2 and the 2 just didn't make any sense to me. None of it.
Well, that's how wild it is, Brent. It's just there's no symmetry. So
it's too bad the wild man Mark Mero wasn't there for it. That would have been perfect.
Oh man, soon we'll be there soon. Don't you worry. But after that, we got our next Survivor Series 8-person tag team elimination match. The women are here. Wow. Women's wrestling. in 1995. This is a like a 4-leaf clover or some shit. So they don't have 8 women on the roster, I don't think. So they had to pluck some from Japan. So here are the teams. So we got the team of Aja Kong, Bertha Faye, Lioness Asuka, and Tamako Watanabe versus Alundra Blaze, Chaparita Asari, Kyoko Inoue, and Sakai Hasagawa. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I feel like if you throw on a bit of an accent, it sounds right. So
I mean, thank God that you're here because I would have massacred those names if I tried to read them. It would have been a massacre.
damn it, I knew I should have made you read it. Anyways, well, we
I
know
would have
this for next
tapped
time.
out.
So yeah, women's match here. It's kind of, it's whatever. Like, it was a fun showcase for a lot of the new Japanese girls. I don't know if were they like Stardom. Do you know by any chance?
I have no freaking idea. Like, I know who 3 of these people are, and one of them is Bertha Faye. And then the rest of them are all lost on me. Have you ever, Kyle, heard Bertha Faye's classic, terribly bad entrance music? Have you ever heard it?
No, how does that go?
Bertha Faye. It's like Harvey Whippleman singing it. Harvey Whippleman singing about how much he loves. He's like, "Oh, Bertha Faye." You got to hear it. Google that shit right now if you've never heard it. Look it up. Not
I mean,
you,
I
but
watched
people
the
listening to
show. I heard it after. I guess did it play? I guess maybe it didn't play on the show.
They probably dubbed it over, like they do now.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. But some fun moves by these Japanese women. We got a big swing by Asuka. Jim Ross, by the way, was calling her Asuka. It's spelled like Asuka, but I think JR. I'm gonna go with JR. So if it's wrong, anybody listening, yell at JR, not me. By the way, JR was, as far as commentary goes, Vince McMahon had no want to try to pronounce any of these names or know who any of these women were. He was just letting JR roll with it, so, which I thought was funny. I think at one point Vince said something and he was like, "All right, JR, keep commentating."
Yeah, he did. I think Perfect said something stupid and then Vince tried to stop him and then he said, "All right, JR, keep going."
Was the stupid thing Mr. Perfect saying, "Whatever happened to the all-American lady? Well, these women should be, at home making their husband dinner."
I hope it was. I don't remember if it was, and I forgot about that, but fucking goddamn, that would not age well today. Imagine, Sasha Banks is taking on Charlotte and fucking, Corey Graves says, "They should be making me a sandwich." Could you imagine?
I could. Corey Graves, I could definitely imagine that.
Well, that's true.
But I know what you're saying. So yeah, we got like a big swing by Asuka. Asari does this crazy corkscrew spiral tap from the top rope onto the other Japanese lady. You got Alundra Blaze with her one of the most beautiful German suplexes ever. Eliminates somebody, and it was hard to keep notes. I didn't know who was who and who was anal. Like Hasagawa's in there. You got she's throwing out a double arm rolling suplex on somebody, and then Aja Kong. I mean, the story here is Aja Kong. She basically wrecks everybody. Then leaves it to 3 versus 1. You got Bertha Faye, Aja Kong, and another Japanese woman. Which one? Wasabi? Watanabe.
Yes.
So it's those 3 versus Alundra Blaze. And Blaze hits a pile driver on Wasabi, eliminates her. German suplex to Bertha Faye, which is pretty impressive. But Bertha Faye completely no-sells it right after. But then Aja Kong gets in there with a spinning back fist to Alundra Blaze and gets the win. And then we have some generic Japanese music that I think every Japanese wrestler had. And yeah, good stuff, right?
Yeah, it's probably called Land of the Rising Sun or something like that.
Oh, yeah, probably.
It had to have been. Isn't that what? No, Nakamura's music isn't called Land of the Rising Sun. Is it?
It's like The Rising Sun or something.
So
I think
is
what it's
pretty
called.
goddamn close. God damn it, pal.
And then Saray is the Warrior of the Sun, and then everybody.
I thought Saray was just a schoolgirl that turned into a wizard or something.
Well, she is, but she's also the Warrior of the Sun.
Oh, okay.
She's a lot of things.
That sounds a lot better than a schoolgirl whose pendant turns her into a wizard or whatever the fuck it is.
Oh no, she still is that, but just many other things too.
I'm so confused, Kyle. I don't understand.
I know, me too. That's why I don't watch it.
That spinning back fist from Aja Kong looked like it hurt a lot. I don't know if she missed or not, but I'm pretty sure Lena Brace felt some pain after that one. But she did throw out some beautiful German suplexes, which was probably the highlight of this match.
Yeah. I mean, the athleticism was like pretty striking, like that corkscrew senton by Asari that I mentioned. And I feel like the women wrestlers were pretty good in this time period. I feel like people associate the 90s and women's wrestling with like Sable and the Cat just bumbling around in there naked. But I mean, there was some pretty Alundra Blaze specifically was really good. She just had no dancing partners, as they say.
Yeah, like you said, the only girls on the roster were probably Bertha Faye and Alundra Blaze at that time. That was probably it. They probably didn't have anybody else. They probably just brought all these girls over for this, and they only had two or three girl wrestlers. Maybe Aja Kong was on the roster, but yeah, that's it. You never got women's matches on pay-per-views. I was actually shocked when I looked at the card and saw that it was on there, just because you didn't get that back then.
Yeah. I mean, there was one at SummerSlam, but I don't think any of the In Your Houses have had any, and WrestleMania didn't have any, I don't think. So yeah.
WrestleMania 10 might have had an Alundra Blaze match, now I think about it, but I can't think of any other pay-per-views that did.
That was Alundra Blaze versus Leilani Kai, I believe.
Which Leilani Kai wrestled at like the very first Survivor Series in like 88.
Yeah. So she was on her way out, but we're pretty close from the title being thrown in the trash can, right? Only a few months, I think.
Yeah, because it's early. It's 95, isn't it? Is it 95 or 96 when she does that? It's one.
Well, we're in November of 95, so we're almost 96. So it's got to be coming up soon because the the women's division is hanging on with a thread or by a thread.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we got Bill Clinton here and Todd Pettengill sitting in the crowd. I guess Clinton has his own little press box in the crowd because they're in DC, so the president's here. Aren't we all having fun?
Mm.
Do you think that was it really Bill Clinton?
It had to be, right? I mean, it was on Peacock, so it had to be true, right?
Right. Exactly.
You can't put anything on the internet that's not true.
That's very true. Well, speaking of the internet, we have somebody that apparently is a hot topic on America Online, according to Jim Ross. Goldust versus Bam Bam Bigelow. So it's funny because Bill Clinton and Todd Pettengill are talking, and then Bam Bam Bigelow's pyro goes off, and Clinton and everybody they hit the deck. I guess this is referencing. I had to look this up. I guess there was a shooting on the White House in 1994, October of 94, so almost a year before this. So they're referencing that with because there's an explosion, and everybody gets topical. And also, let's not forget that President Clinton had confused Bam Bam Bigelow with Bam Bam from the fucking Flintstones. That happened too. I believe it. That sounds about right. But yeah, so Goldust newly debuted. This is a second pay-per-view match. He has the long dramatic entrance, and I mean that was pretty much the story. I think the entrance was damn near as long as the match itself. But yeah, Goldust pretty much he dominates pretty much the whole match, wins with a running bulldog, and yeah, what'd you think of early Goldust here?
I thought that the early Goldust and into 1996 was some really, really good shit. If you go back and watch it, which it was really good when he first came in, it started to go down, toward the end of 1996. But when he early came in 95 and early 96, it was really, really good. I thought it was some good stuff. Probably a little bit controversial for its time, but I don't know if he had gotten to that point yet. That comes in the later months when he gets a little bit more controversial. But I remember watching his promos as a kid coming in, and I had no idea that was Dustin Rhodes until he got in there for his first match and took his wig off, and I was like, oh fuck, that's Dustin Rhodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, he basically dominated this match. I think this was actually Bam Bam Bigelow's last match in WWF ever. I think he left the company right after this. So did you ever see that halftime show where Katy Perry was dressed like Bam Bam Bigelow?
No, I missed it.
Look that up if you haven't.
I'm not going to do that. But yeah, no, I believe it because Bam Bam was definitely I mean, I guess it's something that he's in a one-on-one match on pay-per-view, but it was essentially a squash match, and I don't know if Bam Bam wasn't into it. He seemed pretty blown up, but yeah, this is definitely the Goldust show. Definitely designed to showcase Goldust, and like you said, he's pretty tame at this point. I mean, he's very bizarre, I guess, is how they say it.
And he's androgynous, pal.
The only really androgynous part of him at this point is his wig, but he starts, like you said, they just start leaning more into it and starts kissing men and rubbing his balls on people's faces and stuff like that. I forget. I'm paraphrasing.
As one does.
Yeah, wrestling.
Don't act like you haven't rubbed your balls on somebody's face, Carl. You know you have.
Look, man. Don't you bring up last weekend. But yeah, so yeah, I guess they would maybe lean into it too much eventually, and he starts wearing pointy bras and
oh yeah, goddamn. In like 98, 99 with Luna, yeah, that shit started to get a little bit too weird.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Kind of early stages of the Attitude Era. I feel like Goldust is really almost like the first element of that, because that's kind of what the Attitude Era would be known for, is these really like outlandish characters, and I feel like Goldust was like the first kind of dipping their toes into it a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Yep.
Then we're back to Bill Clinton, and of course he's joined by Bob Backlund, Mr. Bob Backlund, and Bob Backlund. There's been this like underlying storyline where he's like, I don't know, he's trying to run for president or something. So him and Clinton talk. I don't know what was going on here.
Yeah, I don't. So he was. I think Clinton was trying to talk Bob Backlund into running for president. He was like, I think you'd be a good candidate, and then Bob Backlund started saying a whole bunch of big words that my corn-fed brain doesn't understand. So I don't know what was going on with old Bob Backlund. I could have fell asleep watching that thing.
Bob Backlund, he just says big words. I don't think he knows what they mean. I think he just says big words. But whatever it was, I'm watching this and I'm like, man, this guy won the world title at the last Survivor Series, and now he's in this bullshit segment with a Bill Clinton lookalike.
Wow, I had not thought of that, but you are absolutely right. He had won the WWF Championship a year earlier at Survivor Series from Bret Hart.
He was the last champion at this point, because Diesel beat him for it, and he's still champion here, which is just, it's something. It's something. But
wow. And then he was playing. You saw WrestleMania 11, right? He lost in chess to Jonathan Taylor Thomas. So it's been a bad year for Bob.
I try to put that entire show out of my head as much as I can. To be honest,
that's got to be the worst WrestleMania ever.
Worst wrestling thing to be on TV. I think would be because I'm watching all the WCW, all the ECW. I can't think of, maybe WCW Uncensored 1995.
Oh, that was a bad one. Or Halloween Havoc 95 was pretty bad too.
That one was at least had some funny moments.
Yeah.
WrestleMania was just it was like giving yourself a circumcision. Like, it was that pleasant to watch, So
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. So after that, speaking of circumcisions, we got another Survivor Series 8-man elimination match. We got the Dark Side versus the Royals. So the Royals are comprised of King Mabel, Jerry the King Lawler, his royal dentist Isaac Yankum, and the royal blue blood Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who Mr. Perfect called Triple H, which I thought was pretty funny. I think that's like the first time he was ever called that. Versus,
it's the only good thing Perfect said this entire show.
Legitimately, though, he said like a paragraph worth of stuff the entire show, and that was probably the only good thing. So the whole thing here is, so it's Mabel and Undertaker is the main story here. We are fresh off of Mabel crushing Undertaker's face. I think it was at a live event, right? It was like a clothesline or something that broke his orbital bone.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But they did a whole angle on Raw, which is before he actually got his face crushed, where Mabel attacked Undertaker, gave him a bunch of leg drops. So they're painting it as like that was what crushed his face, which is pretty lucky they fell into that. So the Undertaker hasn't been seen in a while. He just said,
well, fucking, I'll just break your face for real.
We got to really commit. So everybody comes out, which, by the way, so the Dark Side, it's a team of, so you hear the Dark Side, it's a team. you're expecting like a bunch of like druids and I don't know, zombies, a really macabre team. But what happens is the dark side's announced, and all you hear is so Savio Vega comes out. That scared the shit out of me. That was so
amazing.
loud.
Thank you. I'm so glad you did that, because I'm like, oh, the dark side coming out to this music you could salsa dance to. Isn't that something?
Well, so we got Savio Vega, Henry O'Godwin, and Fatu, and of course the Undertaker. I think is this BSK? Are these guys all BSK, Bone Street Crew guys?
They are all Bone Street Crew guys. I never thought of it until just right now, but yep, they definitely all are.
Yeah, so I guess that's really the only reason that they're teaming with the Undertaker, because none of them are really dark. Actually, they're all very colorful.
When I think dark, I think hog farmers.
Yeah, I mean, they can get pretty dark sometimes. Are you a hog farmer?
Kayfabe, yes, I am a hog farmer.
Are you more of an HOG or a PIG?
I'm more of a PIG guy than an HOG, yeah.
You strike me as a Phineas. That's for
Thank
sure.
you.
You're welcome.
That's a mighty fine compliment in Nebraska.
So the Undertaker comes out, hasn't been seen in a few months after the injury, but he's returning here, of course, with the little Phantom of the Opera mask, which I thought was pretty a badass look. What'd you think of the whole get up here from Taker?
I agree. I thought it looked pretty badass too. I thought it made it look even cooler. They should have kept it longer.
Yeah, should have just kept it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So Undertaker, it takes him a while to get tagged in, but even when he's on the apron, like there's one point where Triple H is trying to pedigree Fatu, and Undertaker just stares at Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and Triple H is like, oh, and then, and then Fatu is over there. He gets his head smashed into the corner, but then he like dances out of it, which I thought was pretty fun.
You can't smash a Samoan guy's head in the corner. Everybody fucking knows that.
This Hunter Hearst Helmsley is like he doesn't know anything about wrestling.
That kid never did anything in the business.
Nah, his gimmick's the shit. He's done for. Speaking of shit gimmicks, we got Isaac Yankem in there as well. I actually thought he looked pretty decent. There's one point he threw like a drop kick that looked pretty sick. I thought Kane looked pretty limber here in this match.
He was definitely the bright spot of the Royals team, that is for sure.
Ooh, yeah. Looking at these names, that's weird to say, but you're not wrong. At one point, King hits Savio Vega with a pile driver. Vega pops right out of it though and tags Undertaker. And at this point, it's all she wrote, because Undertaker, everybody's just scared shitless of Taker and his mask. Nobody wants to tag in King. Even Mabel's like, oh, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
So we got a tombstone to Lawler gone. We get a little face off between Undertaker and Kane here, which is a fun little moment. Isaac Yankem and Taker. Not for long though, because tombstone to Yankem eliminates him. Triple H says fuck this, so he tries to run, but Hog has his bucket of slop, threatens to slop him, so this causes Triple H to get back onto the apron, but he gets choke slammed into the ring by Undertaker and eliminated. Mabel gets in. I think it's just Mabel at this point. Hits Taker with a belly-to-belly suplex and then a leg drop, but then Undertaker just rises up and Mabel just runs away. And Mo gets choke slammed. Mabel gets counted out. The Dark Side wins. Clean sweep. And so they're the winners. Thoughts?
I mean, my favorite part was the end when Mabel ran away, because I love watching a big guy run in fear. It's one of my favorite things ever, is to watch any big wrestler flee in fear. It makes me laugh. So I love that part. Jerry Lawler mocked Savio Vega's dancing during this at one point, and I hope to never see Jerry Lawler dance again. So there's that.
What did his dance look like?
It was like white people dancing, where we just kind of shake our butt a little bit. I'm not even gonna try to
That's all I need.
I wish I could, but it was just I never ever. Jerry Lawler dancing is a visual no one ever needs to see.
Yeah, well, didn't care for it. But yeah, Undertaker just felt like a star in this match. Because he'd been fucking around for like, like I started watching all this stuff at WrestleMania 10, and it feels like Undertaker hasn't done a goddamn thing. Like he was fighting various guys from the $1 Million Corporation for like a year. He faced another Undertaker. He faced Yoko's. Like he's just been doing bullshit. But now I feel like from this point on, at least, hopefully he'll be in more significant stuff.
Yeah, he's got to fucking hate whoever books these things. He's like, I got to wrestle fucking Giant Gonzalez, and then I got to wrestle. Like, wrestling Yokozuna was probably a breath of fresh air. Probably not so much now because his weight kind of got out of control. But, like, back in 94 when he was wrestling, he was probably like, thank God. Because if you look back at, no one's had more shit opponents than The Undertaker.
Yeah, it doesn't stop either. But yeah, that Yokozuna match was a SummerSlam 94, I think. Was actually not that bad. Not as bad as you would think, so.
So they had the casket match at Royal Rumble 94, which ended.
Or was it was Survivor Series 94, I think, when they had another casket match. Yes.
Chuck Norris was there. He kicked Jeff Jarrett.
Highlight of the show. But now we got the wild card up next. It's another Survivor Series 8-man tag.
Oh, you must have forgot about the Bret Hart, Big Daddy Cool, terrible promos that they cut before they went to this match.
I'm gonna tell you this. They were so bad, I didn't even make a note of it. But give me your thoughts.
I just remember the last thing Bret Hart said was that the truck stops here, that's a real classic line because he's Diesel, so the truck stops here. Very Canadian of him. And then after Diesel got his promo, I thought, thank God he turns heel after this because that was so corny. And he used to like change his voice too. He wouldn't talk normal. He'd be like, you know what, Brett? When we get out there, I'm going to run on diesel power. It was like it was just weird. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man? It was terrible. Both the promos were bad.
Dude, I posted this on Twitter, but on Raw, and maybe you watched it since you watched the Raws leading up to this. They had this like interview segment where it was like both guys were on the screen. They're in like different locations. It was like a via satellite deal. And it felt like an hour long of these guys just talking. They're not cutting promos. There's no intensity. It's just, you have Bret Hart like, well, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go full throttle. I'm going to give it 100%. And you have Diesel's like, well, it's I'm probably gonna hit you with a jackknife and then probably gonna pin you after that if I had to give you my idea of what this match is. It's like, what are we doing here?
It was like they were trying to be respectful of each other while totally disrespecting each other at the same time. Yeah, no, I did watch that and it was really, really bad.
It was something. But yeah, the promos on this show weren't much better. Well, they were better in that they were shorter.
Cornette cut the best promo on this show. Of anybody who put a promo on the show, only Jim Cornette was good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not saying a lot with who's on this card, but,
right?
But yeah, so that's a thing. But wild card. So we got the team of Dean Douglas, Owen Hart, Razor Ramon, and Yokozuna versus the team of Ahmed Johnson making his pay-per-view debut, Shawn Michaels, Sid, and the British Bulldog. Wow, what again, a cast of characters, a lot of team dysfunction, as you would expect here in those teams. I mean, anything speak out to you? There were some cool moments like Shawn and Owen going at it. You have Bulldog and Owen having a face-off, Razor and HBK having a face-off. And anything in particular about this match stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, both those that you talked about, I was talking about. I mean, I wrote in my notes too. So yeah, no, I agree with that. When I was a child, when Ahmed Johnson first came up on my TV screen, I was a huge, giant Ahmed Johnson mark. I don't know why, but everything about him connected with me. I loved his music. I loved the Pearl River Plunge. So I thought this was really cool because he was really the highlight of the match, really.
Yeah.
He was I'm sorry, he was the person they were trying to spotlight the most. He wasn't the highlight of the match, but that was the purpose of this match, was to get Ahmed over.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, even him like hopping over the top rope into the ring, and he did this like weird karate kick. I don't know if you caught it, like when he was making his entrance. It's like, okay, this guy's big, but he can move too. So I feel like that in itself makes him stick out among everybody else.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of big guys, but not a lot of big guys that can move. I mean, you have Bam Bam Bigelow who's on his way out, but everyone, fucking Yokozuna can barely walk. So,
Yeah.
but so the match gets underway. Ahmed Johnson is already hot, so I guess people were with you and being Ahmed Johnson marks. Everybody's thoroughly behind him, which is crazy considering all he's really done so far is it's impressive, but he body slammed Yokozuna on Raw.
All he ever did was body slam a 600-pound guy. That's it. What does that mean?
Oh man, but hasn't had a lot of matches, a lot of promos. I don't think, unfortunately. So, but crowd loved him either way. In there like a house of fire. Eventually, HBK and Dean Douglas go at it because they were supposed to at the last In Your House, but it was when HBK got sodomized by 9 gay sailors at a bar in Syracuse, so he was unable to. I think that's a story, if I remember correctly. So
sounds right to me, pal.
So Sean and Dean finally go at it, but Razor, who is on Dean's team, punches Dean in the face from the apron, and HBK rolls him up to eliminate Douglas and pretty much send him back to ECW. If not now, we're not very far from now. Did you like Dean Douglas? You a Dean guy?
No, Dean Douglas was terrible. Why does he have an exclamation point on the back? Like when he came out and he had like an exclamation point. I don't understand why is it an exclamation point? I get it, he's a teacher. Does it need to be an exclamation point?
I never really thought about it. That is interesting. Maybe it's like he's emphasized, right? Like instead of an exclamation point after a word, it's after his body. So it's always like Dean Douglas.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm constantly screaming at you. Screaming Dean.
Yeah.
They should have named him Screaming Dean. That's what it should have.
Man, if you would have brought that up back in 94, 95, they would have been like, oh, God damn, pal.
God damn it, pal. That's amazing.
There's probably been a Screaming Dean somewhere.
And also, like, everybody out there, if you're single, you need to find somebody who hypes you up the way Vince McMahon hypes up Shawn Michaels in the 90s because the most flamboyant, the most charismatic. He has like an aneurysm every time he sees it.
Fucking loves it. It is always the same thing. It's always like the same lines, which is hilarious.
Like you can feel his boner through the screen. You can hear it as he's saying it. You can just see it rising.
Dude, that's what he would do, man. When he had somebody he wanted to be over, he would just yell really loud until they were over. He did it with Lex Luger too. It
didn't really work though.
No, it was very bad. Like Lex comes out at WrestleMania 10, and Vince is literally on commentary. Is like, yes, yes, yes. It's like, shut up, Vince. We don't like him.
And the fans are like, no, no, no.
Boo. But in the match here, you got Razor and Sean go at it. We get a Razor's Edge on the HBK. Ahmed Johnson gets in there to break up the pin. HBK eventually goes to, because HBK and Sid are on the same team, which is bizarre considering Sid put him in the hospital a few months before this. But Sid holds up Razor for Sean to give him the sweet chin music, but Razor ducks and Sean accidentally kicks Sid in the face, and Razor pins him to eliminate Sid. But then Sid comes back after he comes to and powerbombs Sean and then leaves. Ahmed Johnson hits the Pearl River plunge onto Owen Hart to eliminate him. We got a Razor's Edge to Ahmed Johnson. But Bulldog makes the blind tag, and then out comes Ted DiBiase, Sid, and 123 Kid, the $1 Million Corporation. Kid trips up Razor, who's legal in the ring, and Bulldog hits him with a power slam to eliminate him. So now it's 3-on-1 at this point. So we got Bulldog, Shawn Michaels, and Ahmed Johnson versus Yokozuna. Yoko goes for the bonsai on the Shawn Michaels, but Shawn gets out of the way. Ahmed tags in and body slams Yokozuna again, the 680-pounder, however goddamn heavy he is. But Bulldog tries to break up the pin of his own teammate, which I guess he's a heel, but it's like, why is now the time when you're gonna whatever?
Right, like Owen Hart, your brother-in-law, just got eliminated a little bit ago. Why didn't you try to help him from getting pinned? But Yokozuna's the guy. You had to save Yoko.
Got to. Camp Cornette, man. It's a tight bond.
When you're Camp Cornette, you're Camp Cornette for life.
Is that a t-shirt? That better be. I'm gonna grab me
It
one.
should be. I don't think it is, but it needs to be.
Now it is. So Sean hits Yokozuna with a Sean and Ahmed Johnson, they both just clothesline Bulldog out of the ring. Shit can that asshole. Sweet chin music to Yokozuna, and then Ahmed hits him with a big splash for the win, eliminating Yokozuna. So I guess the first wild card team, or the second one, Team B wins this match. And
Wild card Team B.
I'm noticing that neither team had names, which is pretty depressing. But yeah, there was some good stuff in here, I thought.
No, it was a good 4-on-4 match. It was cool. You know, the dysfunction with the teams. They did enough of it, but they didn't do too much of it. Yeah, I thought it was a very entertaining match. All these matches were good. I think the worst match on the show was probably the out of the 4-on-4 matches, the worst one was the last one, the Dark Side one, just because it was pretty much just a squash match. But no, I thought this was really good. Very entertaining stuff.
Yeah, and like you said, I think the design here was to get Ahmed Johnson over, which I think they thoroughly did. Shawn, I think, is, obviously Shawn Michaels is Shawn Michaels, so him, Ahmed, and Bulldog, who I believe challenges the champion of the next In Your House. So it all made sense that they were the survivors here, and fuck Dean Douglas. So put a bow on that.
Back to WCW, pal. I mean ECW. That's what I meant, not WCW.
Well, both eventually.
That's true.
So
and then Target. Sorry.
Target?
I once heard that Ric Flair insulted him by saying he worked at a Target or something. So,
deep cut. I like it though. I believe it. He looks like a guy that would work at Target. You could see him restocking shelves.
He works in the video game department.
What else is he doing? But I know what you're thinking. You're like, by golly, I could do some more Bill Clinton. Well, Bill Clinton's back. God. Well, he's still there. He never left. But Sonny's there, and sitting on Bill Clinton's lap, feeding him grapes or some shit. I don't know, or popcorn. I guess
popcorn.
Would it be.
Yeah,
grapes.
It should have been grapes, pal. That's what it should have been.
It should have been. Bill Clinton asks Sonny to be her undersecretary. A little bit of foreshadowing there, I guess, but yeah, good stuff there, right?
She's not doing that unless you got pills on you, Bill. You got your pills?
Yeah. Hey, man, you got $20, you can have Sonny do the exact same thing to you.
Yeah, every time I see Sonny, it just makes me ill. She makes me sick to my stomach. Even now, I realize she looks really good in 1995, but just to think of the person that she became, I'm just like, no, I don't want to look at her.
Yeah. Goddamn, 1995. It was a, yeah, I get it. I get it for sure. So now we got Diesel Power revving our engines for the WWF World Title match. It's a no holds barred match, the main event. We got the champion Diesel defending against Bret Hart. And so the backstory here is that Bret Hart, him and Diesel had a match at the Royal Rumble almost a year earlier, and ended in disqualification because a bunch of people interfered. As a whole schmoz. I think even the match before that at King of the Ring 94 was a similar deal. So they've had a bunch of matches. Neither really had a definitive winner. Bret Hart never really got a rematch for his title other than the Royal Rumble. So it's been about a year in the making. And Diesel, Bret Hart, that's pretty much all. That's all it is. We talked about the shitty interview segment on Raw.
Yeah, they didn't hype this thing up well, that's for sure.
It was something. I mean, Bret Hart and his he said the truck stops here. Yep, Bret Hart, he would always when he faced Isaac Yankem at SummerSlam, it was, I'm gonna extract you and remove the cavity of you that is the mouth of the W, or some shit like that. So
yeah, it was. He always said something stupid. He was gonna excellently execute him, is what he said too.
That is something. But Diesel in this match definitely has a more cocky vibe to him. It's very more akin to the Kevin Nash character that we would see in WCW in a few months. But yeah, I thought this match was great. What did you think about it?
This match is probably the best match in Kevin Nash's wrestling career. Everything about this match was great. The way it started, Diesel starts off with the power moves. He takes Bret apart. Bret uses his savvy ring veteranness to get Bret down. I love when like it looked like Bret had him in a sleeper hole, but Bret was really just ripping at his mouth and his eyes, which I thought that was really good. Everything about this was good. Bret gets him in the corner. He kind of ties him up, which I didn't think he was going to be able to tie him up for long, but he actually is pretty good with the game. Not good, not apparently, because the Hitman tied him up for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. This match was absolutely great. If you've never seen this match, you need to go watch it because it is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree with you as far as this being Kevin Nash's best match. I mean, the only other candidate for his best match is his other match with Bret Hart at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that's a great match too. Yeah, that's a really good match too.
Which I personally might enjoy the Royal Rumble one a little bit more, but maybe this one at least had a finish. So go either way, but
I'm with you on that one. I think that the Royal Rumble match is better. You don't get a finish in it, but I think I like that one better.
Yeah. But I do like the story of this, which you kind of touched on. So it's no holds barred. And nowadays, when you have a no holds barred match, you have flaming tables, you got chairs, you got ladders. It's just a bunch of plunder and crazy spots. But this match felt more gritty. Like you said, Bret was like raking at Diesel's eyes because they're both baby faces, at least at this point. But they're both they both take off turnbuckle pads. They both are using chairs, eye pokes. Like you said, Bret tied up Diesel to the turnbuckles. So it felt very much like these guys wanted to win, like they would do anything to win, which gave it a level of made it feel like a big deal. Bret, of course, works the leg of Diesel. Because Diesel's probably on his 27th knee surgery at this point. So it's like, you better do that. Yeah. You got figure fours working on the knee. You got these chair shots from Bret to the knee of Diesel looked brutal.
It's better than hitting a guy over the back with a chair that's got a big pad over it, which they always did that in the 90s. They'd get the chair with the big pad and then hit him over the back with the pad. And you're like, eh.
It would wind back and it'd be a
exactly. So. Probably smarter, but doesn't look good on TV.
No, it probably still hurts. But yeah, like you said, it just for acoustics, probably not the best way to go about it. Get some real steel in there, pal. A little CT, you'll never hurt.
We need the real steel.
But eventually, because a lot of this match is Bret working on the leg of Diesel, but eventually Bret, he's on the apron. Diesel knocks Bret off the apron through the announce table ringside, so all the way from the apron through the table, which is a spot they damn near never did at this point. I mean, I can't think of a time before this they did this.
No. So this is like height of my fandom because I was like 12 years old in 95. So 95, 96 was height of my fandom. And I don't ever remember anybody going through a table. I think this was the first time it happened.
Yeah, I mean, tables, in general, tables weren't really used. I mean, ECW was just now making them popular, I feel like, at least in the United States mainstream. But yeah, so it felt like a really crazy moment. Like all the monitors were all disheveled. The Spanish announce team was on the floor and sign of things to come for the future years. But so Bret goes through this table. He's out. Diesel cockily throws Bret Hart into the ring. He's about to hit him with a jackknife. But Bret is playing possum and rolls up Diesel in a small package, gets the quick win out of nowhere. I didn't expect that at all, but was a quick win. It was a decently long match, but it was out of nowhere. And Bret wins the world title here, but doesn't get to celebrate it because Diesel gets back up. He's pissed. He shoves the ref. He gives Bret a jackknife. 5 other refs come in. Diesel just punches them all in the face, one after the other, gives Bret a second jackknife, and then walks out. So Bret is your champion at the end of the show, but he is doesn't seem like a winner here, laid out, and Diesel essentially turns heel here, which I think, like you mentioned earlier, I think is a good call. I think it fit his character a lot better.
Awesome fucking man. At the end when Diesel's leaving, right? Pretty much everybody I saw was cheering, and Vince McMahon's go, they're booing him in here. Like, looks like they're cheering him. Ain't nobody booing.
Man, I guess maybe it was before they had canned audio for live shows. Otherwise, they'd be abusing the shit out of that.
I guess not. Well, it's just funny. They're booing him, and you got like 7 kids right there next to Diesel going, yeah.
Diesel's
like
even
12
he's like
guys.
high-fiving people.
Yeah. It's like they're booing him. No, they're not. They love him.
Stupid ass Bret Hart. But yeah, so good stuff there. Very intriguing shift in character for Diesel. We got Brett and Bulldog at the next In Your House. So but yeah, that brings the show to a close. And like I said, I mean, this show definitely is like a diamond in the rough, the very, very rough of 1995. Watching it, I feel like every match had some charm to it in some way, and I enjoyed watching this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the better Survivor Series that was kind of in the format where they still did a lot of the 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 matches, because they start to kind of get away from that later on. So yeah, I thought it was really good. It was definitely better than the last 3 Survivor Series before it, which if you look at that card, you're going to look at that and go, oh, that's probably terrible, but it really isn't.
Yeah. 94 Survivor Series. I mean, that was what? You had Brett and Bob Backlund, which was a fine match. It wasn't that great, but it was okay. Taker versus Yoko, which was fine. Can't really remember anything else.
I remember that's when Shawn Michaels like super kicked Diesel, and that's when Diesel turned babyface, because they chased Shawn Michaels to the back, and then their tag team. Yeah, that wasn't a very good show, I don't think.
You know what else they had? They had Doink and the Dinks versus King and the little Royals.
I forgot about that. I watch bad wrestling on my show, and that's right up my show's alley.
Yeah, if you haven't covered that show, that is like you said, right up your alley.
I gotta write that down.
Yeah, but I mean, but 94, 95, it seems like they're getting better. It's almost like they're a work in progress.
Bingo.
Well, yeah, thank you. First of all, Brent, thank you for making the time to check out the show and come on and discuss it. Where can everybody find you in the Work in Progress podcast?
You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. It's at AWI Pod. Twitch, I do a show every Friday night. Me and the mayor, my co-host, the mayor of Canton, watch an episode of WWF Superstars from 1992 every Friday night right after SmackDown. So if you want to check that out, do that. And yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah, I've been lucky to be a part of it once or twice, and it's always a good time. It's always a good listen.
Back on again. So around Royal Rumble time, we usually do this thing where we watch an old Royal Rumble match and we play like a Royal Rumble drinking game. And so when that comes around, ooh, I think you should be involved in that, pal. What do you say?
Goddamn, pal. You Royal Rumble, drinking, your beautiful face. Those are my 3 favorite things. So I'm down. I'm sold.
There we go, pal.
A survivor, I wanna know him, how much. You know the song that I mentioned in the beginning. It's a callback, folks. It's a callback. Once again, thank you to Brent from the A Work in Progress podcast. Go check out Brent on social medias, all wherever you listen to podcasts, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Omegle, on eFucked. Do that. Give the boys some love. Great time with Brent as always. And check me out, Apron Bump on Twitter, Apron Bump on TikTok, Apron_Bump on Instagram, even though it's probably collecting cobwebs at this point. All my full episodes. If you like this, if you enjoyed this, I cover all the WWF from the new generation. I cover ECW and WCW from that era as well. Also covering the golden eras of TNA, of Ring of Honor, Ruthless Aggression, Attitude Era, Progress Wrestling, my grandma's sex tapes, everything that you love to watch. Your boy, the hardest part of the ring, talks about. So with that, I'll leave you. I'll love you. Thank you guys once again for listening. Big smooches, little smooches too for the delicate one. That actually made me kind of sick to my stomach when I said that. Well, on that note, I'll let you skedaddle. Thank you guys once again for listening. Love you all. I'm hard.
Yeah.
And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing I guess. Let's get it started. It's the hardest.